Hello viewers, welcome back to Daily Retro. Today we've got episode 6 of Guide to Games Rooms with Eddie from RollerXcore. Say hello, Eddie.
Hello people of YouTube.
Great to have you on. I've been looking through your images that you sent through and it is impressive. If any of you have watched Eddie's channel before, you'll see that his games room is the most stacked thing you will ever see. So look forward to finding out more about it.
Yeah, I think I've got a bit of a problem. That's definitely for sure.
Okay, so we'll jump straight into question 1 for yourself. You say you've watched all these, so you should have some idea of what's coming. So when did your games room first appear?
So having a games room probably about 10 years ago. So I, at the time, split up with my partner and I thought, yes, I'm going to go do something what I want to do. And I started buying NES games. And I just had like this corner of my living room at the time. And it just started filling up until I got like a really big like shelf that had like a sliding door. So it would have shelves in front of shelves. So yeah, that was really cool. And then the game room just kind of like built. Every time I moved house, it sort of like got bigger and bigger and bigger. Up to a point, then I just sold it all. So yeah, there was like multiple versions of my game room. So once that all went, I was like, oh, I felt a bit free because sometimes having a lot of games feels like a bit of a burden. Sometimes you're worried about when you go away and stuff. And it was like, oh, that was freeing. However, I didn't stop buying. And then that's the same place where I lived then. That became games room number, I think 4, at that time. And it started eclipsing what I had before because it was all from the car boots. It was all like really cheap. Whereas before, most of the stuff I was getting was from eBay. So I was just buying stuff that you couldn't generally find, like NES or Mega Drive games. 10 years ago, it was easy to get them on eBay, but still relatively uncommon out in the wild, to be honest. But yeah, then I started going into PS2 and 360, and that kind of stuff was just like everywhere. you couldn't go anywhere without tripping over it for like 50p or £1. So then again, Games Room 2.0 came about. But 2.0 at that time was in a spare bedroom. So most of it was Games Room, but then it had a bed in the middle of it. So it got to that point where I was buying a lot of stuff and it was going under beds in the attic and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of people have had that problem. We all have it. Tends to be the UK side of people that usually have these problems, because even a big house here is like small over in like America or even Europe sometimes. So yeah, a lot of stuff gets like stashed away. But again, then I split with my partner again and moved into my own house, and then it kind of like exploded from there. So yeah, my current games room in this house used to be over in the other bedroom, but I decided like it would be better in a bigger room. So it got to that point. So one weekend, over 2 or 3 days, I moved like all my bedroom stuff out of this room and then moved all the gaming stuff over into like what was, I suppose, the master bedroom. So now my bedroom's like the smaller room. Kind of embarrassing for like most people, but when you've got an addiction like we have, I don't know, sometimes this is the priority.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah,
prioritizing collecting over sleeping.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I've still got king size bed in there and stuff like that, but it's just not it's not as big as this room. So yeah, it just meant I could, when I did that, I was able to add like 3 more shelves, I think 3 Billy Book shelves, and being able to sort of like make like a little center in the middle of the room. So yeah, that was quite good.
Awesome. So that definitely leads us on to question 2. How long did the current game room take to build? You mentioned it took about 3 days, but obviously it's obviously grown since then.
Well, that's it. I mean, most of it was sort of like, even though I moved it all across, it was sort of like in the shelves that I came across with. So it didn't change too much. It was just more like the orientation and stuff like that. So because of that, I wouldn't say that was how long it took. And as well, once I moved into here, it all got flipped around as well. I was watching Retro Ghetto, and he's in his temporary room while he builds up his new game room. And he mentioned how he blocked off one of the windows in the living room, in his game room, to sort of like have more space because it's only a temporary one. And I was like, well, why do we don't need light in a game room? That's only going to like ruin games and stuff like that. So yeah, I've Billy bookcase in front of the windows in the back here. So yeah, I mean, like I say, it's watching things like this. Like one of my favorite things on YouTube is watching game rooms. It's like for me, I don't really do cars or gardens or anything like little pastimes that some people have. This is my pastime, and it's like I enjoy the creation of the room. It's not just the buying the games, which is nice, but once you've got the games, it's like, how do you display them well, and how do you make it a room that's like nice to just visit? And even if you're not a gamer, like I know a lot of people have been in here and they're like, wow, this is pretty cool how it's been set up and stuff. And that's the kind of thing that you want, really. It's no one cares about X game that's on the shelf. Some people don't, but they like how it's being displayed.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a good thing to have, really.
One of my favorite channels before starting YouTube was a channel called Discart, and they did he does like displays of people's photos, and it's basically all aesthetic based, which is kind of what you're talking about. And yeah, it's always really interesting to watch aesthetics wise.
Exactly. It's definitely all aesthetics. And as well, I think as well, you said how long did it take to create my game room? Well, it's not created yet. It's still being created. I don't think there is ever an end goal to anyone's game room. It's like, see how it goes. It starts off on a little shelf and it builds into 2 shelves, and it's like, wow. When you feel that, like when you buy that second shelf, you feel like, wow, this is really expanded. But then it becomes a games room, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And like I say, this game room, I don't think this isn't going to be the end. And I'm sure you got a question later, which will probably explain a bit more to that as well.
Yeah, most likely. So question number 3 is, where did the inspiration for your games room come from? So when you first started building games rooms, did you take inspiration from someone else in real life, or just from YouTube, like you say?
So I think I can remember like distinctively having a dream about having like a shelf full of NES carts, like just great carts. And I don't know where that came from, because at the time I wasn't playing games or anything like that. I was recklessly going out, spending all my money was spent on going out. So I had that dream, and it kind of made me think about like gaming and stuff like that, because I used to love NES games back in the day. That was like what I grew up with. So yeah, I had that weird dream, and then I went on YouTube, and then I found the Angry Video Game Nerd, and he had like pretty much what I envisaged in my head, except I think mine was like in a cupboard, I think, at the time, because no one saw anything like this. So he had a room full of like gaming memorabilia, and he had that shelf of NES games, and I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. So yeah, from there it was like buying NES games to build a shelf. So it was like I was just buying any and every game just to try and get a full set, and it was basically, how quick can I get a shelf together? Because when you got 1 or 2 games, it didn't feel right, but when it was all together on a shelf, it was like, wow. And then from that moment, you've got that one shelf, and then it was like, you just go on YouTube, and it's like, there's not one person that I would say inspired me to get the game room like how I have. It's just like little bits and pieces that I've taken from other game rooms, but that catalyst was probably, like I say, Angry Video Game Nerd. I think that's probably the same as a lot of people. I think he's inspired a generation of people, and hoarders.
Yeah, most definitely. And for for people like me and you, sort of that age bracket now where we've got more disposable income, it's definitely becoming more prevalent in our sort of age groups where people want to build games rooms because they've got that little bit of extra money and space to go and backfill what they used to play, like you say, it was NES for yourself. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as well, I think, like you say, with our age as well, when I was in my 20s, it was all about spending money going out. And then after that, it was like, oh, well, I've got nothing to show for it. So I'll just buy one or two things here and there. And I still went out. So then I was like, the money was like going a bit crazy. But then like now, getting older, you just can't go out as much as you used to. So like now, this is my going out. This is like, I enjoy going to like all the shows to go get games. I enjoy like going to all the game shops, and that again, that's an event in itself, and I just enjoy it so much.
Yeah, those events are really nice, and like you say, it's nice to just be able to come and relax in your games room. Okay, so question number 4 is probably going to be quite tricky for yourself because you've got so much stuff. But what is your favorite item or feature of your games room?
Favorite item, yeah, I think that would be quite hard. I mean, I love my Parodius games, but I don't know. But my favorite like feature would be sort of like my gaming console setup. Like I've spent the last year, I've spent like sort of like getting it how I wanted. So I've kind of got like a big center CRT in the middle. I've got my PlayStation 2 flat screen on the side, and then I've got like a TV on its side. Basically, it's a tape screen, so basically I can play shooters on its side. But then behind the console itself, it's a load of SCART switches that I've spent a bit of money on, to be honest. But like, it just means I can turn a console on and it will go straight up onto the screen, and I don't have to worry about like unplugging and replugging things in as much. Although it isn't fully completed yet, I could probably get another couple of consoles in there, but it just means replumbing it. But yeah, again, part of that favorite feature is the fact that I sent you a photo, I think, and it's like a pegboard behind everything, so it kind of keeps all the cables like it's the best way to do cable management, I think. So you can put everything up sideways, there's nothing like on the floor, it's like everything is mounted onto this pegboard, and then you can like wire the cables in a lot more neater looking. The photo that I sent you was like 1.1. It's like I say, it's all evolved since then. But yeah, it's nice to have everything there ready to go, and that is probably my favorite feature.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, to be honest. It's nice to be able to just sit down and start playing straight away without having to faff with plugging cables in.
Yeah, but
you definitely do more management than most people, because even though I think mine are tidy.
It's all about watching YouTube videos. Like I wouldn't have done that on my own speed. It's only because I've seen YouTube and Instagram feeds about it all. It's this modern technology that we've got in front of us on our phone. Just when we're just like lazing about, just watching some random game room, it's like that's when like the ideas like start sparking.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen pegboard used that much, but it is a really neat idea, and it does stop like cables pooling all over the floor at the back of your unit, like the one I'll display in a photo a bit later. But yeah, that's really
it
cool.
Seems to be more of like I think IT sort of like uses it in like server rooms and stuff. I think I've seen it where they've like cable managed like that.
Yeah, so, yeah, definitely.
I'm imagining that's where the person originally did it, and then it's just like started spreading, someone else has seen it, and then it got to me, and then maybe it'll get to someone else, you see, and it's quite cool.
Yeah, it's a nice way of doing things. Okay, so question number 5 is, what is the most expensive item in games room? So the most common response to this recently has been, nothing really expensive, because you might have bought something 10 years ago that wasn't expensive and now it is expensive. But what do you think is your most expensive item?
Well, I think what you said there as well. Like, I had one game that was quite surprised. It had a bit of value too. I bought it for £1 at like a Play Expo in Manchester, and I went into a game shop and they had it for like 150 quid, and I was like, because I've got the PlayStation 2 version of it as well. It's just like a Phoenix game, just a football Phoenix game, and I just bought it for £1 because it was like it was a bit silly and stuff like that. It's called Animal Football or Animal Soccer, and it's basically just like a load of videos of like really badly drawn cartoons. And yeah, that was a very unexpected thing. But yeah, I've seen I know Ed showed a few things off, so I thought I'd namesake, we'll just show a few things off.
Yeah, no, feel free, honestly.
So again, like most of the stuff that I've got is, I mean, my favorite thing about collecting is not buying, just having the stuff up and like just buying things like at the going rate. It's about buying it cheap, and then it's the thrill of the hunt. Once you've got the game, you can do one or two things: complete it or put it on a shelf. And like, I've completed all of these that I own, but they're now sitting on the shelf, so there's not really much else to do, is there really? Whereas like the hunting can take years for certain items. Like honestly, I've got stuff up here that it has taken like literally 3 or 4 years just to find something. But yeah, this was one that took me a while, took me a couple of years to get, because I wanted to get it at a good price, and it's Castlevania. Now it's a bit boring to show this one because this is like I think the price on this is stupid, because I think it's going for like 500 quid or something at the moment. I paid like 160 quid for it, and I thought that was a lot of money, and that was only a couple of years ago. But this is one of the victims of COVID, where the price has just gone stupid. So for me, that was like a boring choice. The most I've ever, like, I used to have like a limit of £100, but since COVID and not going out, I've kind of moved that limit, and this was like I think this is one of the first games I've spent like silly money on, and it's Hyperduel for the Sega Saturn. So this is a shooter, and I spent 300 quid. So this is the most I've ever spent on a game, £300. And like I say, I went a bit silly on that one, but it's something I wanted to get, and I kind of want to get a full Sega Saturn shooter collection, which I'm actually not far off doing now. But again, this was paid for by a few sales that I got. It's not just like coming straight fully out of my money. It's another thing about collecting, just buy stuff to sell. But yeah, again, this is the most valuable game in my collection, and a lot of people probably won't know what it is, and it is Sengoku Anthology on the PlayStation 2. So this recently sold for just over £1,000.
Okay.
I know, yeah, which I didn't pay anything close to that. When I bought this is actually sealed. That's why it's in a box. I don't actually put any PlayStation 2 games in boxes, but when I found the price, when someone showed me the price of like how much this sold for, I was like, yeah, that was going in a box. That seal needs protecting. But yeah, like when I bought this, it was just under 200 quid. Again, a lot of money. But then, I didn't see this for 2 years on eBay. It just didn't show up. So I was like, I'm gonna have to buy it now, so I'll never get it. And then like buses, 2 came at once, and one sold like 600 quid. This I believe could be the rarest PlayStation 2 game. Right. Like I say, my focus at the time was PlayStation 2, so this really is a holy grail. A lot of people say Rule of Roses and stuff like that, but there's no rarity in that. That's a common game. It's just sort of like a game like Castlevania. It's just holds value. Yeah.
Oh, those are some big hitters there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for me, when I go out collecting, I do like rarity and stuff like that, but I try and buy stuff that I'm going to play, or at least I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah, it makes sense because you don't want to be there just to make money. You want to be there to sort of learn what's out there as well and have fun. Okay, so question number 6 after a very intense question number 5. What do you play most in your games room? So is there a specific console? I'm presuming it's either the NES or PS2, but I could be wrong.
Well, in my games room, well, the thing is with me, I have, like I say, I'm single, so it's kind of like a bit of a games house. So I do have like a retro setup downstairs. I've got like another arcade machine, like a full-size arcade machine, like with MAME on it. So I do like playing that every so often because it's like on the way to the kitchen. But I play my PlayStation 4 the most, and that isn't in my game room, it's downstairs. So I don't know if that counts. But in this game room, honestly, I don't play that much in here. Most of the time I'm in here is to make a video or put stuff away. It is a bit of a shame, really. It's a bit underutilized room. But when I do come in here, it is probably the PC Engine at the moment. I'm absolutely loving the PC Engine. It's a system I never had as a kid. And again, a lot of retro collectors kind of go towards sort of their nostalgia. But for me at the moment, I think because I've been collecting over 10 years now, I'm enjoying finding old games that I've never played before and playing them for the first time. So for me, that is key for me. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and the PC Engine is one of those systems that's got a lot of shoot 'em ups that you say you enjoy.
Yeah, but as well, like because it's 8-bit, there's not much like you don't need to learn much like Japanese or anything. Unless you're going to go for the RPGs or like visual novels, you'll never play them. But there's so many platformers, there's so many shooters, there's a lot of just like simple arcade style games that you don't need any sort of like command of the language. It's just put in and play, have 10-15 minutes of fun just here and there, and that's what I like about the PC Engine. It's just ready to go. Love it.
That's cool. Yeah, like you say, it is sometimes refreshing to play something that isn't necessarily nostalgic, but is old and you're learning about it. I learned that myself last year. I bought an Atari 2600, a console I've never owned, but my dad used to. So it's not nostalgic for me, but it's nostalgic for him. And yeah, I invited him round and we played on the paddles on the Pong game and Space Invaders and stuff like that, and it's really refreshing to play something you've obviously never played before. Obviously I've played those games before, but not on original hardware, and yeah, learning about that original hardware that you've not played before it's really interesting sometimes.
Yeah, no, well, the 2600, that is like the ones that's the shame that I have in this game room. 2600 is the only system I have from my youth, or like it's the one that I bought. Like I think I was like 10, 12 or something. I had an NES at the time, and I remember having a 2600 when I was a kid. I went to a car boot with my parents, and I was like, I want this, and my dad was like, why would you want this old system for? And I was like, I just remember having a good time with it, and that system, the 2600 I got over there is that exact system, and it's the only thing I've got from a kid, which is pretty cool. Like I've still got that. But yeah, I think that was my first foray into retro collecting, I guess, when I was 10, 12 years old.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so we'll move on to question number 7. So was there any challenges or problems when you built your current games room, or any issues you've still got unsolved?
Space. I think we've all said that, haven't we? It really is though. I mean, like I say, UK people, we just don't have the space. Like I've got a 3-bedroom house here, and it's like it's just not enough, is it? I've got a room over there that's just full of junk. It's like board games and like car booty stuff that I've just got and can't get rid of because I'm a hoarder. And then I've got gaming stuff downstairs, and it's still not enough. It's just nuts. Yeah, so basically, because of that, we've just got to kind of figure like new creative ways to like sort of like have it displayed, but also like store it. Because I think that'll be the biggest shame for me, is I actually have like a couple of shelves where they're display shelves, so it's like figures favorite things or something like that. And I know it's going to come to a time when they will have to disappear, and it's going to be just shelves of games. So I'm trying to enjoy that as much as I can. But yeah, that is the biggest, hardest thing for me. It's other than that, I mean, obviously I don't know, that is just it. Space, biggest answer. It's a shame because we've all said it, but it really is. I think us UK houses, that's always going to be the answer, I think.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate what space you've got, though, for sure. And it, like you say, it makes people go out there and think, how can I improve the amount of space I've got? Which is probably not something you'd sort of think of if you were one of our very few American viewers and had these enormous bedrooms. But yeah, it's nice to be able to make the most of the space, and it sounds like you definitely are.
Yeah, but I think if I had more space, if I was to win the lottery or something and was able to build sort of like this big annex or something, I think I wouldn't have games. I would have arcade machines. So like, I think the space limits what you collect. We have like nice little spined off games and stuff. But if we had that unlimited space, yeah, it would be arcade machines I'd be collecting, I think.
Yeah,
that would be awesome to have.
Yeah, I'd love that too. But like you say, they just take up so much space, and they're pretty expensive as well. Okay, so question number 8, our penultimate question for yourself, is there any upcoming changes to your current games room? We kind of already answered that, but yeah, we'll go for it anyway.
Yeah, so just a few weeks ago, I got COVID, and I was actually planning a big change of the game room. And that was going to be bring all the modern stuff from here and then bring it downstairs. So I was going to reorganize my downstairs rooms to sort of like accommodate sort of like a new couple of shelves, which I've got, thanks to Dylan, Hypertrigger X. He donated some shelves to me.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be bringing all the PlayStation 4 downstairs. I mean, it's silly because every time I want to play a game downstairs, I've got to come up here to get it. So I'm running out of space up here, or at least running out of space to display things how I want. So the obvious solution is bring the modern downstairs. So that is going to be the biggest change, I think. And then as well, probably again, same thing as a lot of people over the Marcus, tidy the game room. That would be a good change. I know a lot of us, we're all like, we've got the cameras on, but it's like if the camera went down, yeah, you don't want to see that. So that would be a big change that probably could be done soon.
Yeah, in my mind, something is modern if it's got HDMI natively, like PS3, Xbox 360 onwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is something a lot of people do. They sort of make their RGB and composite consoles in one room and the HD consoles in another, which sounds like the way your room's starting to go now.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, I'm going to be keeping PS3 and 360 up here. That basically fills up only half a Billy bookshelf at the moment. So I don't really need to worry about it too much at the moment. Just bring in because that PlayStation 4 collection, it's like it fills up one of these bookshelves that I've got, which are quite wide, like the 3 sections wide. So just doing that alone will just free up so much space. So that'll last me a few months, I think.
Yeah, until it gets filled up again, and then
exactly. It's just that never ending.
No.
Never ending.
Okay, so final question for yourself. Any people who are thinking of building their own games room, what tips would you give them?
So I think, again, I think a couple of people touched on this. Don't judge what you own. Don't watch other people and think that's what you want. Because that kind of makes a stale looking game room or library. For me, I think some people they get into a bit of a rush to get everything, or to get, like I say, we've all been there, we've all done that, trying to fill up the shelves and stuff like that as quick as we can. So we just buy a load of tap. But for me, that's the silliest thing to do, because you're wasting money buying games that you'll never play, And then when you do get games that you want to play, you like looking through the shelves and you can't find them because you've got all this like FIFAs or like games that you'll never play. So, and then eventually it'll get to a point you've got all these games that are just filling up the shelves and you've got no space left anymore. So for me, the biggest thing for any person starting up their own game room is, yeah, just buy games that you want. Like you really want these games, they are the ones. And then when you look for them, you know, oh, this is a great game, that's a great game. Do you know what I mean? That is the most sensible thing. I think the biggest problem with a lot of games rooms is people get green eyes of other people's games room, and it's not about the size, it's not about how many games you own, it's about the quality of what you own and what it actually means to you as well. Like again, if you enjoy shooters, a lot of people like shooters, and a lot of people will just buy them because other people like them, and then they've just got them on the shelves for no reason. And it's like that doesn't tell me who you are if you're just buying games because other people have bought them.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
I think your game room is like a perfect example of it, where you've got a good amount of stuff, but I can tell all the stuff that you own is because you bought it for a reason. You can tell that, and I know because we discussed about the games when we went to was it Birmingham Market?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I say, with you, it's like you can tell your focus just by looking at your game room.
Yeah, I'm actually like, I'm one of those people that make lists of like what I want to buy before I go retro game shopping. Occasionally there will be the thing you see and you think, oh yeah, I really want to play that, but it's not as frequent. Like I say, it's just buying anything and everything. So yeah, that's a really good tip. And I've actually like recently come towards the end of like my list. I've been like, there was like 3 or 4 things left, and I thought, I'll just buy those on eBay, which will be in my next like pickups video. But yeah, now I've pretty much like completed what in my mind is games that I've bought for nostalgic purposes that I used to play or play at friends sort of thing. And now it's going to be a change of focus to playing games I want to dabble into, like you learning about all the new games you can play on the PC Engine, and it's going to be an exploration which is exciting in itself.
Exactly. I mean, that's again, have fun, do some research, don't just watch people doing pickups. Actually do if you're start getting interested in a console, like search the top 10 lists and stuff like that, and pick them games that mean something to you, because you're not going to know everything on every console. I mean, no one does. Like there's so many games out there, it'll be impossible for everyone to know everything. But yeah, just hone in to the ones that you really want, and yeah, get a better game library, and then you can display them. I have my Sega Saturn games all forward facing because I'm only getting the games that I want, so I want to display them with pride.
Yeah, I did see that in your photos, and I was wondering what platform it was, but you just confirmed it for me. Yeah, it's a really nice display.
Sega Saturn.
Yeah, those like CD style cases. Okay, that's really cool.
They look very boring, like spined up.
Yeah, it's just white.
And a lot of them, some of them are in Japanese. Not all of them. Some of them are English if you turn them the wrong way. But why would you do that when you've got all that amazing artwork that you could just display? Again, great tip, especially when you start in games rooms. Like, again, you're not going to be able to fill shelves up straight away. So turn a few of the games forward facing and display them in the middle of like spined games.
Yeah, that's a nice tip. Okay, so that's the end of the questions for Eddie, but I'm just going to round off with my favourite bit of Eddie's room. So there's kind of 2 things I was flipping between. So a lot of people will notice the lighting going on in the back of your room, which was something that I'm really passionate about as well, as having good lighting in a games room. But I was also jealous of the very large and beautiful looking CRT that's sort of flush in between your shelving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't decide between those two, but both sound really cool.
Yeah. No, the LED lighting is something I got into a couple of years ago, and yeah, I think the thing is with IKEA shelves, which most of us have in games rooms, no matter what country you're in, but the white ones are always the cheapest, and they're the most boring looking ones to me. So the LED light is just like bring another level to it, and it just makes them pop. Because I would love a game room like Nintendo Alex Arcade. I don't know if you've seen him. He's got like sort of like fully wooden customized shelves. They would be awesome. But I can't afford that, and I can't do that in this game room. So the next compromise is make it look like an arcade. Like it looks all like the LED lighting just gives you such a good mood lighting. Makes you feel good when you've got them on and they're all like slowly changing and stuff.
Yeah. And what brand of CRT is that one that's sort of in the middle of where you're shelving?
So it's a B&O, Bang & Olufsen.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I've got quite a few of these. I think I've got 4 Bang & Olufsen TVs around the house. The one I've got downstairs is actually bigger than that, and I've got a big widescreen one, and I've got a smaller, like 14-inch one. Got a bit addicted. Like I said, I've got a problem. But the sound, I love the look of the Bang & Olufsen because unlike other CRTs, it's kind of got like a screen on the front of it, like a panel, and it makes it feel like I'm playing an arcade machine as opposed to playing it on a TV. But the sound on them, they're amazing. The sound is like booming. It's got such a good bass level to it, so it makes all your games, like I say, feels like an arcade. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, anything you can do to build that sort of theme into your room is going to make it more enjoyable for everyone.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's the end of this episode, guys. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave a comment and a like down below. And don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you very soon for episode 7. Cheers from me and cheers from Eddie.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.